Hey, got another big stack of hip hop CDs, and this is just gonna be some hip hop odds and ends. So, certain regions, record labels, artists. I made many videos categorizing these people together, and this is just some that I don't think have or are gonna fit into any other video. So, it's from all over the United States, and we're gonna start off in Boston with Hangmen 3. This is No Skits Volume 1. Hangmen 3 were, I think, a three-man production team out of Boston, the most famous amongst them being Benzino, the rapper. So this came out, Supreme Records, 2000. And this was before the whole Eminem controversy and people hated Benzino way more than was deserved. So this album is basically a collection of Hangmen 3 with their associated rappers and crews. And I haven't listened to this one in a while, but I always thought it was pretty good. And I want to say Who's Living It and Holla Back are the two songs I recall off the top of my head from this. Made Men Classic Limited Edition. So this is related to Hangmen 3 insofar as it was another group that had Benzino as one of the members. So Benzino at this time was part owner of the Source magazine, and for that reason he was able to connect to a million different big names in hip-hop. This one was Restless Music in 1998. And you have Master P, The Lox, Montel Jordan, Big Pun, Mace, Corrupt, Daz, Queen Pen. And the Wise Guys are all over here, who are one of those Boston groups that were closely associated. And the standout song for here is definitely Tommy's Theme with The Lox. That song is amazing. No chorus, just well, you had Styles, Jadakiss, and Benzino, and I think one of the other Made Men, and they all just rip it. That's an amazing song. So check that one out if you haven't. Redemption, the second full-length solo album by Benzino, 2003 on Elektra. I probably like this debut album, The Benzino Project, a little more than that. And that album, as well as this one, were considered big flops for a major label with tons of guest appearances. But it's kind of funny how things changed back in 2001, whenever the Benzino Project came out. I think it ultimately sold 100,000 units, and everyone was just laughing their heads off at it. And 100,000 CDs sold in 2023 is pretty damn good. But anyways, one of my favorite songs on here. I like Gangsta's Touch with Cadillac Ta and Black Child. 44 Caliber Killer with Scarface. And you know what? Rock the Party is more of like a club jam, not really my thing, but I do like that song. Now we're off to Cleveland. This is Kid Cudi. This one's called Man on the Moon 2, The Legend of Mr. Rager. I always liked Kid Cudi, what I heard. Can't say I put this one on in a long time. I actually always had the impression that Kid Cudi was from Chicago for some reason, but he's not. He's a Cleveland guy. So this one's called Man on the Moon, The End of Day. So I guess I got these out of order. This one came out in 2009. Oh, I can't read that. I won't waste your time, but I'm pretty sure. So Man on the Moon Part 1, Man on the Moon Part 2, and I just heard some songs here and there since then. Couldn't tell you much about his albums. So going over to New Jersey, this is the self-titled debut album by Joe Budden. Where was he out of? Jersey City, I think. So nowadays, Joe Budden's much more known as being a podcaster, radio show guy. Pump It Up was the big hit on here, but there was one song on here that really impressed me. Which one was it? I think it might have been 10 Minutes, the closing song. I recall it being kind of an epic song, so maybe it's that one, a 10-minute song to close out the album. That was Def Jam 2003. Okay, this is Can I Bus, the debut album by Canibus. So it seems like Canibus was born in Jamaica and grew up amongst various cities within the United States, so I threw him in here. This was his debut album coming off of his diss on LL Cool J, which was a really big deal at the time. Somewhat surprising considering he hadn't even put out a debut album yet. But this was 1998, Universal, executive producer Wyclef Jean. Second Round KO, there it is, it's on here. I also think I liked... You know what? I haven't put this album on in a long time. The album after this, there's a song called Watch Who You Beef With or something. I thought that one was pretty good, but I don't own that CD. This was really hyped at the time, and I think it was kind of a lukewarm reception, and he just kind of progressed a little bit more underground since then, but he's always kept a loyal, hardcore fan base of hip-hop fans that are really into lyricists. That's not really what I'm into. I'm just more into how it sounds, but I don't like modern hip-hop. I like a bit of lyrics, but I'm more so am into that kind of strong, commanding presence on the mic, which I don't hear much in the 2000s, and since then, actually. Since the 2010s. But anyways, keep going with Canibus. This is called Rip the Jacker. I listened to it a couple times back when I bought it. That was 2003, Baby Grand Records. I heard this was just a lyrical masterpiece and had some high praise by people whose opinions I respect. But again, I can't argue with the skills, but it's just not my kind of hip-hop. Okay, we're going to go to the Midwest and St. Louis. This is Country Grammar, the debut album by Nelly. Laugh if you want, but I still think if you can stomach mainstream hip-hop, I think this is still a good album. The hits, Ride With Me, that's still an awesome song. And yeah, I think it's just kind of a fun album. Haven't put on in forever, but it's not bad for what it is. And I don't know if Nelly makes music anymore, but you know, his first 3-4 albums, they all have some good tracks on it. That Sweatsuit album, the double album, I liked quite a bit of that. Free City, the debut album by Nelly's group, Saint Lunatics. And again, I haven't put this one on in forever. What was this? Universal, 2001. I always liked it. Just one of those albums I put on in the background, and I was like, this is good, catchy, accessible hip-hop. No more, no less. Gonna head over to Philadelphia. This is The Tipping Point by The Roots. I'm not a big Roots guy, and what I do like, I like more so the old stuff. But I do remember this getting, again, high praise from people whose opinions I respect. Same with the Phrenology. I got that somewhere. Can't find it for the life of me. Can't say I can tell you a whole lot about this right now. Okay, Will Smith, Lost and Found. This was Interscope, 2005. And I remember I bought this in college, and it was really just one of those things where I went to the record store. It was during a period where I was really into hip-hop. They had nothing that really grabbed me. And I said, you know what? I heard a couple positive things saying that the new hip hop, or sorry, the new Will Smith album is actually not that bad. And I did like it at the time. Switch, that was the hit. No, there were a couple standouts on here. I just can't locate them on the track listing. But old Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff, you know, there was some good tracks there back in the old days. Off to Chicago, another video I've already discussed, Do or Die, Twista. That's my favorite stuff from Chicago, so we're not gonna look at that here. But this is Like Water for Chocolate by Common. So Common is a very well-known rapper. He's gone on to be a very well-known actor and just somewhat of a media personality. This one, 1999, MCA. Very good album, although I prefer one of his earlier albums. I think this is his third full length, and I believe his debut was called Resurrection. That album I don't own, but it's definitely a masterpiece and totally worthy of your time. I have gone on to find Common kind of annoying, though, as a personality, for whatever reason. But the last thing I got by him is Electric Circus. And I bought this because there was a period where I was into unique hip-hop that was kind of taking things in a new direction. This was 2002. It's kind of around the time that the Love Below came out. CeeLo was coming out with some interesting things. And this was a part of that. This one I think I might like a bit better than Like Water for Chocolate. But again, Resurrection's the one is the one you need. Finally in Chicago, we have Chief Keef, Finally Rich. So Chief Keef came out of the South Chicago drill rap scene. He's probably the rapper that brought that to the mainstream the most. And the best song on here is probably the opener, Love Sosa, but I prefer the mixtape version better. This just tacks on like a fan praising him for the first minute, and it just kind of ruins the flow. Sicko's pretty good. This album is good, but not what I was hoping. The hype was huge at the time, and I think it was a little bit of a disappointment. He had a video shoot with 50 Cent and Wiz Khalifa, which he no-showed. He's just kind of known as being kind of irresponsible with maybe, you know, doing what he had to do to help his career out. This was 2012, Interscope and Glory Boys. And all those Glory Boys, you know, Lil Reese, Lil Durk, Young Chop, SD. I used to love what all those guys did prior to this major label release, which I thought was a disappointment, and things just slowly fell apart after that. And from what I understand, Chief Keef still puts out a lot of music. He's got a lot of loyal fans, and he's makes a good amount of money doing things, just somewhat more low-key for his fans. But I've listened to a bit of it, and it's definitely not for me. And finally, we're gonna come up to Toronto, Canada, where I live. And this is Ghetto Concept presents Seven Bills All-Stars, the album. There's definitely some Canadian hip-hop that I like, but I've never followed it that closely as much as I wanted to support it. This one came out 2002, and I guess the story behind this is this group had a couple songs, but I'd say the minor hit, at least in Canada, was Too Much. And I really like that song along with the remix. And a bunch of friends from high school and myself, one time we tried to go to a Nas concert after the release of Stillmatic. And I guess the DJ couldn't get over the border, so we were basically told at the door, show was off. And pretty disappointing. About 10 of us all made our way down there. But we were just hanging out in the parking lot before we left, and we saw these guys hanging out and passing out some posters and stuff. So we went and chilled with them for 10 minutes, and I don't know, they were cool guys. So the album came out a couple weeks ago, and I showed them some love and bought it. And I think it's a pretty cool album, actually. I don't know what they're doing now. And that's it. Just some random hip-hop albums that I don't think I'm going to be able to slot into any other categories. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching.